There have been a ton of changes over the past 2 weeks, and if I missed a PR that was yours, I apologize. I went through the list twice. I still miss things, and if I miss something important, well, please read the change logs, or I guess you could just comment if I miss something important. Artifacts have been changed. The way researching artifacts now is this beautiful new UI. In the beginning, nothing is really different, except now you will have access to multiple nodes at the same time. So all of these bottom tier nodes are what would have been depth 0 originally. These are all one node activation. So these are really easy to understand. So for example, I'm just going to do 854, which will lead to 199 and 046 to give an example. So this just needs magnetic waves, which nothing has changed here. If anything, it's actually easier to understand what an artifact wants you to do. So I gave it magnetic waves. Once you activate the stimulus, it will start pulsing because you're going to have to be able to do more things. Also, just like before, a node will auto activate when you complete its trigger, and then the durability indicates that's how many times you can hand activate it. So if I pick this up and press Z, it is supposed to teleport the artifact. I'm not entirely sure how it works when it's in your hand, but it didn't seemingly teleport. But anyways, you would probably end up seeing things like if it's an explosion, you could explode in your hand, for example. Anyways, now that we have unlocked 854, we can work on 199 or 046. And all you have to do is complete 2 of the things at once, and then 3 at once, 4 at once, 5 at once. For example, if I shift click it for close inspection, it'll begin the shift. Then if I turn on the magnetic boots again, we are going to successfully complete 046 because we did both triggers while it is pulsing. If it says it has visibly changed when you have completed the stimulus, that means you have successfully done it. Leaving stimulus in the chamber, such as magnetic boots, will keep it constantly trying to reactivate and search for new nodes, so try to keep your workplace a little bit cleaner. But just to show off the use better, this is now classified as an Omni tool. As you see, it has the ability of screw driving. So if anything, the new node system lets certain artifacts have more of a utility outside of their auto-activating like before. However, of course, once the durability hits 0, that cannot be reactivated. So that's really the quick rundown. You can still extract points like normal. More complicated nodes give more points. And yeah, it's more complicated and more difficult to unlock higher tier nodes. For example, 377 is probably going to be 3 or 4 triggers at once. So it can get really difficult when you have things like high pressure, low pressure, plasma. Anyways, this screen honestly should be enough to get you through the majority of artifact research now. Departmental Economy has been added, and the main function of this is decided by the hop through the funding allocation console. Here, you will see each of the department's current balance, the revenue division split among sold goods, and you can even see things like cargoes cut from specific lockboxes, or non-lockbox sources or lockbox sales. We're getting lockboxes in a second. So for example, if I were to sell a diamond, which costs $2,000, with 50% of cargo getting the cut, that means cargo will get $1,000 of the dollars, and then the other $1,000 will be split between these 20%. So I'll just sell a diamond really quick to give a great example of how this actually works in the wild. So remember, one refined diamond is $2,000. We'll sell it. So see, each of the departments has received $200, and cargo would have got the $1,000. If you want to change it to so how it used to be where cargo gets all the money, you could change this number to 100%. And before we leave the sell screen, you can now order lockboxes for each department. For example, say you want engineering to get all the funds. You can make it so cargo gets 0% of the sales from the lockbox. And if we were to sell a diamond inside of this lockbox, which only goes to cargo, or engineering, regardless of the way allocation is set, when you sell this diamond, engineering will get all $2,000 of that, and I guess $75 back for the crate itself. But let's take a look at maintenance savings balance, and we can see they did indeed get all the money. Each department will now have their own request computers. For example, this is services, so you can see their own balance. You can take the money out and transfer it to other computers if you need so. You can also directly transfer funds from here, so you don't have to physically transfer the money. And yes, this lets each department manage things that they want. So if the bartender needs bartending supplies, they don't have to walk over to cargo and spend cargo's money. If they have service money, they can spend their own service money. And that's true for all 5 departments that have these computers. So this is the way to give departments more agency in the things they want to order. It gives the hop more to do, and it creates a little bit of extra drama of where funds are being allocated. For example, security should probably be getting the funds if there is a nuke incursion or a threat of a nuke. And if there's a green shift, security probably doesn't need all the funds. Genpop and the general way that prisoners are processed is changing. Genpop refers to the communal brig. So your perma, normal brig are all combined into one. They are blocked off by these turnstiles, which can be crafted pretty cheaply. They're rather hard to destroy, but the only way you can deconstruct them super easily with just a welder and a screwdriver. So they're really tanky to physical damage, but can be deconstructed easily. So if a prisoner sneaks in those two tools, they can literally weld their way out rather fast. Anyways, you should be confiscating those tools. So the way it works to get a prisoner in Genpop, if you don't have the proper access, it won't even let you in. And obviously I can't go this way because the turnstile will resist your efforts. It's the wrong way out. If you shift click them, it'll tell you the proper way to go through them. And it even says a mechanical door permits one-way access to prevent tailgating. So security officers and stuff can obviously come and go as they please, because otherwise it'd be really hard to maintain the brig. So say you have a suspect in hand and you want to strip their belongings. Bring them to a locker like this prisoner locker, take all their stuff out, and then when you interact with the locker directly, you'll have this pop-up prisoner closet. Convict name, just whatever their name is. The sentence length, whatever your server rule dictates, 1 minute, 20 minutes, whatever the crime says. 0 for perma as a state, so I'll just do 1 minute. And you can even list their crime that they did, so easy to keep track. As soon as you click done, it will close and lock the locker. And if you shift click it, it'll say this prisoner closet belonging to that person is locked. If you right click it, you can end that person's sentence early. You can kill the ID, and the other option here is you can reset the sentence if you need to do that for whatever reason. Also, once the timer is up, it will literally give you a pop-up saying you have served your sentence and may exit through the turnstiles and collect your belongings. So the whole process is significantly more automated. So I'll grab my ID, and this will let me walk through the turnstiles. But my timer isn't up, and you can shift click at any time. I still have 20 seconds to go, so I cannot leave. And as I just showcased a few seconds ago, the second my timer expires, it will give a notification to everyone else, and I will be able to walk through the turnstiles without somebody having to come get me. And if security officers are doing a good job, all of their belongings should be automated. If the security officers are doing their job, your stuff will be in your locker. So let me grab my ID. I can leave through the turnstile now. I can't go back in because my sentence is not up or anything. And I can open my locker and get my stuff back. And you need to take your ID with you because otherwise you won't be able to exit the final turnstile. And it is that simple. As a description of the turnstile mentions, it prevents people from tailgating. So even if I were to stand in the turnstile and try to follow them out, it literally will not let me. So you can't just chase somebody out, you have to serve your sentence. This material silo, though, is localized. It will only be able to be linked up to lathes and tech fabs up to 20 tiles away. The way this works is very simple. You walk up to the material silo, wherever it may be, and there are no access requirements to it. You just left click on any tech fab that you want to link, and all the materials inside will be shared between the lathe and the material silo. So if I put the materials in the silo, I've hooked it up to the security tech fab, the 30 steel will be in there. I could then eject the steel, for example, out of the security tech fab or wherever the silo may be. I don't believe there's any limit to how many things you can actually link. As long as you could just click it and it's in the list, it'll let you share the materials between all of these lathes. This is a great quality of life, meaning now, say science gets a material silo, they can now have all of their machines hooked up to one central storage and be able to very easily inventory how much materials they have and where. But right now it's like, oh, there might be 5 pieces of glass in the circuit imprinter, 1 in an auto lathe and 2 in a proto lathe, but you need 8 total, so you have to go around to each lathe ejecting them to get the 8 out. That is no longer the case. You can just go to any one of them and eject it, or the silo itself. Additional material silos can be purchased for $5,000, and since they only have a 20 tile range, if you want every department to have it, I don't know how these are going to be mapped. They might be per department. I guess it's really up to the map makers. I don't know if there's going to be any standardized material silo mapping, but places like Science will really appreciate this the most because they have the most machines to craft out of. Cyborgs, clowns, and mimes can now customize their names before joining. So if you go to your loadout section under jobs and click the individual loadout of the job, you can set a custom name if you play this role. If empty, a random name will be selected instead. That's for Borgs. For clowns, I think it just, it uses your character's name instead. But this is great because I don't think a lot of cyborgs like having no personality or continuity, and stage names are always fun. And if you're trying to play a clown, you didn't know you're going to get the clown role, having the stage name is great. Lighters and packages can now be opened with sharp objects. However, this makes the station actually lose money if you do it this way, but that means these packages can actually be stolen now at the cost of the station and, well, the recipient that got their stuff stolen from them. The way mail teleports in has been changed. Rather than the packages just appearing on top of the mail teleporter, it can hold up to 20 deliveries, and you just walk up to it, right click it, and take mail. I think you can, well, it'll pop all the mail out. You can also alt click it if you don't want to right click it. Cargo can now order a hydroponic tray crate in a flat pack for $750 a piece. You can now order a basic sheet crate for $1,660. Interesting number. This comes with exactly a stack of glass, steel, and plastic, a scientist's best friend, kind of everyone's best friend material-wise. You can now order colorful lights for only $800. Inside there is a box of tube lights and bulb lights, and inside of each one of those is a rainbow assortment. You can now order a non-lethal throwables crate for $2,500. Inside of this, it requires security access to open. There are 4 bolas, a box of flashbangs. A box of flashbangs is 4. There's a box of stingers, which is 4, and I'm guessing you guessed it, box of tear gas, which is 4. A whole bunch of new food can be ordered. Of these, there is the Get More Bake More crate, the ice cream delivery, the snow cone delivery, and the Happy Honk meal. 2 of these will come in freezers. As you can expect, the ice cream comes in freezer, and the snow cones will come in a freezer. The Happy Honk comes with 2 of them, but they're like bigger varieties if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if these are the ones that can like get C4 in it, but anyway, not rambling on. And then we also have the Get More Bake More crate, which comes with already assorted goods and the ability to bake more goods. So great for chefs, great for flair. I can see Cargo doing ice cream deliveries. Anyways, variety's always good. A lot more items can now be recycled. Of the more important ones are the watches, the comically large, bigger than a grandfather clock watches that you can find. These actually just recycle into gold now. And farm equipment such as size can also now be recycled. So what that means, and the importance of this, other than, well, of course, probably more things should be recyclable, is that these things get tossed into maintenance and disposals a lot, especially like farming equipment. So you might end up finding a few extra pieces of material than you otherwise would down there, and less tools, so trade-offs. The raid suit has been buffed. When you buy it, it now comes in a backpack, which is the explosive resistance backpack, also which is the Syndicate backpack. And the raid suit is now only a 2x2 instead of a 4x4. It is so much easier to stash. The entire kit doesn't even take up the space of this armor that it used to, which is a pretty massive change for such a strong suit of armor to be only a 2x2. Syndicate agents may now only purchase the Blood Red Hardsuit, so that means the Juggernaut and the Elite suit are no longer able to be purchased by regular Syndicate agents. They are nuclear operative exclusive. Monkeys can now wear Juggernaut suits, so again, really it's only going to be for nuclear operatives, but I think the code name for them so far has been Junkies, which is funny. Expect to see a Juggernaut suited monkey coming your way, and they are still just as horrifying looking. The Elite Web Vest has been added. It can be purchased for 5 telecrystals by Syndicate agents. The Elite Vest has significantly worse piercing, but is very resistant to heat, and is great against blunt/explosive and caustic radiation. The normal Web Vest has no real effect against explosive radiation, caustic, and is terrible against heat, but still good against blunt and slash, and of course the Web Vest basically gives you a ton more health against pierce. So the Elite Web Vest, if you're getting shot, is not going to be the ideal piece of armor, but 30% still not bad. But it's way more well-rounded, so this could be a great piece of armor if you're like a chemist with explosives, a chemist with like acid attacks. Still, 50% radiation is still not like phenomenal. You're still going to get irradiated, but you're not going to die quite as fast. And the blunt and slash is ever so slightly better. So again, this is better in every single case except pierce. The advanced surgical bundle that was available to syndicates and nukies for 4TC has been removed, and the advanced circular saw can now be purchased, but only by doctors, not even chemists. For 2 telecrystals, the advanced circular saw otherwise is unchanged. It is still a phenomenal melee weapon, not quite as good as something like an E-sword, but the damage types are really good, so worth considering. The Wizard will now come with their own appropriately themed headset, which is still the same as it was. It's just one with the command headset, so they can still listen in on every single channel, magically, but it's still a headset. Wizards can now purchase a knock spell for 1 Wiz coin, and this will open basically everything locked nearby at a touch of a button in a pretty long range. You can see I unlocked this medical locker, probably was at like 8-9 tiles away. Very useful spell for getting through areas quickly. Dragons can now actually pry doors, which is a lot faster than eating them. Do it at the same exact time. I mean, eating them will still give you the guaranteed way in or out, but it's about roughly twice as fast to pry versus eat, so that's probably something to keep in mind. Also, dragons actually have random names now. Infection chance and the way infections work has been changed. Some armor, such as biosuits, will now have just inherent infection resistance. Also, really armored suits like the riot suit, which are great against blunt, slash, and pierce, also will still help against infections, but not as much as like a biosuit. Certain biosuits are better than others, like medical ones have 65% chance, or a normal bio or security biosuit only has a 60% chance but has some armor. I'll just put the chart on screen that will definitely explain it much faster and more efficiently than I can just by clicking on random pieces of gear. Tracking implants no longer state when somebody has reached a critical state on the radio. The kill a Maroon objective has been changed entirely. You now must always Maroon the target. However, in the case of command members, you must kill and Maroon them, so you can't just like chuck them out of an airlock or leave them. You still have to kill them. But for normal targets, you must make sure that they are not on the shuttle. So you can kill them on the shuttle, but that doesn't do anything. You have to still Maroon them. So this will really discourage trying to chase your objectives on the shuttle or just drive-by shooting them and not getting rid of the body on the shuttle. Either way, just do your objectives on the station, not in the last minute. There have been improvements to the description of ammo boxes, just basically letting you know what the rounds are for, kinetic ammunition, even magazines will say that's for, intended for submachine guns. Either way, just small flavor text or just in general description text, that could be good for people who didn't already know what the stuff was for in general. When you research objects relating to the security tech fab or the medical tech fab, the people on those radios will now actually get a message about it. So, for example, the security tech fab will say, this lathe is now capable of producing the following recipes. A spray nozzle and backpack water tank have actually been fixed to allow Space Cleaner to once again fix things. This has been broken more times than it hasn't, as far as I'm aware. But either way, the ultimate tool of the janitor, which was intended for the janitor, works once more. As cursed as this concept is, there are now dehydrated mop buckets, and when you transfer water into them, they turn into real plastic mop buckets. I don't know. It's kind of scary. Items will now actually slip through puddles. So, for example, if I just throw this bottle right in front of me, it'll land right in front of me. If I throw it at the lube, it'll continue slipping through the lube as if like people do. So, just makes items feel like they actually have more like real weight in the world and interact with the world better. Plus, there's definitely gameplay mechanics that can happen because of this. There are new sprites for the high voltage cable coils and medium voltage cable coils, as well as the actual place coils. The medium voltage cables now actually have these orange stripes on them, which admittedly my first thing is that it makes you think of the high voltage cable, even though I know they look entirely different sprite wise, but just the color coding just gets to me. Anyways, either way, they look different now, so there's more of a distinction between the medium voltage and the low voltage because of those stripes. Solar panels may start damaged on round start now, and damaged solar panels can be fixed by simply using a crowbar and pulling out the broken glass, and then you can re-weld the glass and put the glass back in. Firelocks will now have these blue flashing lights, and when you shift click it will also be in blue to indicate that there's an extreme pressure difference on the other side of the door, so even more of an indication to not open the damn door. Geiger counters will now actually play audio from the Geiger counter directly, which means other people can actually hear it. You don't have to have it in your hand to hear that there is radiation in the area. You can now use fire extinguishers to put out more entities that are on fire. For example, cigarettes will completely disintegrate, not just unignite, when you spray them with fire extinguishers. You still can't put pieces of paper on fire. You can extinguish them, but it also says you can extinguish entities that are worn, so there's more use cases for the fire extinguisher for actually fighting fires. If you stand on a grid, like something small like this, with a fire extinguisher with mag boots on and spray your fire extinguisher, you will actually pull the grid with you, so this is awesome, and there is a lot of potential here. I can definitely see people using this to like save their stranded shuttles. Either way, I think there's a greater implication here too for possibly future content with like moving grids with stuff like this. Anyways, looks simple, but is really cool. Salvage cyborgs will now come with tool models by default, so that means they come with like the welding torch, crowbar, all the assortment of goodies used for hacking doors, which are found on salvage wrecks. So very useful, and who doesn't want tools? Metal foam grenades, like ones you can order from Cargo or sometimes found in like Atmos, that are used for breaching or fixing breaches, will now always plume out in a more predictable diamond shape, like so. It will also like instantly deploy, so you can actually seal breaches with it. And the foam is not quite as tanky, so it's not a permanent solution by any means, but can be useful in a pinch. There have been buffs to the security hardsuit slash security armor, specifically the head of security trench coat now has more armor in general. Also, the heat resistance of these hardsuits have all been given a base 20%, and just clicking on them so you can look at the numbers yourself. Either way, though, it's a general buff to security armor across the board. They really struggled with heat. 20% is not going to make them exactly ungodly tanky or anything, but will give them a little bit more of a fighting chance against their own stolen weapons, for example. Bartenders can now find pineapple juice inside the boozo mat to make any recipe that requires pineapples on round start. And speaking of bartending changes, there are 12 new drinks. 11 of them are alcoholic, one is not alcoholic. These new recipes tend to be way more complicated than the previous recipes in game, so this gives bartenders basically chemistry-like steps to make some pretty interesting and fancy-looking drinks. Moths can now actually eat pills, so they no longer have to dissolve it inside a glass of water or something like that. Minor quality of life change, but can be pretty useful. You can now hide objects inside of cakes, so you right click the cake with a knife and you click open, and then you can left click the cake with the small object, and then you can literally hide the object in there, and you can close the cake back up with the knife. Now the cake is hiding the disc, for example, and if you try to eat it, well, I guess I'm a moth, hold on. It hurts you if you try to eat it too much. I guess once you end up biting the object out of the cake entirely, it will hurt you. So yeah, like it doesn't delete something like the nuke disc, but it can be a pretty funny surprise. There are new moth-themed donk pockets, hot pockets, whatever these are. They look like they're wrapped in like spider fiber or just fiber in general. Buzzy edition of donk pockets that was created during mass protest. Actually, who cares? Just donk pockets are moth. I think that's a good description of this change. And moths are still literally eating good. There is now a cotton grilled cheese sandwich, cotton bread slightly burnt in butter with melted cheese. And there is now cooked meat patties, so now you can actually make hamburgers that aren't just entire slabs of steak out between two buns. So crew and moths especially are eating really good. Syndicate Commander Hardsuit has been nerfed slightly. It now has a 10% speed reduction, so it's in line with all the other normal suits other than, well, the Juggernaut. Expired implanters, for example, a storage implanter, will still be named a storage implanter after being used. So security no longer has to guess which of the 1 of the billion implanters is on the station currently if they find the original implanter. Also means you need to get rid of it and hide your DNA from it. Gibbs skeletons will once again have their skull removed from the body. This will allow the skeleton to essentially keep talking, and I expect skeleton skulls to be thrown out of the station promptly. Stinger grenades will no longer have a flash effect, so now they just have the projectile knockdown. So that means you can use these as a non-intag or an intag that doesn't have flash protection. Temperature gun is a tier 3 arsenal tech that is replacing the Savalan laser. Once you research it, it can be made at a security tech fab for a decent price, 20 steel, 5 glass, 5 plastic, 5 gold, or at an EMAG proto lathe, which is probably where you're going to end up seeing a lot of it in normal rounds. However, I feel like the primary place you're going to see this is in War Ops, because this is a gun that will absolutely slaughter nukies. The temperature gun is first and foremost a disabler styled laser gun, meaning it shoots like laser bullets instead of hit scan laser beams, so it can't shoot through glass or anything like that. It does 10 heat or 10 cold depending on the mode. It can swap between hot and cold. It only has 10 shots total and a awful fire rate of 1 per second, so the raw damage is terrible. However, this gun either freezes your internal temperature or heats you up your internal temperature. So when you're going to shoot somebody with it, every single species in the game except lizard should be shot with heat in order to kill. Cold can slow down, but it doesn't do as much damage to these species, except lizard, where it will slow the lizards, it will slow them down and kill them faster than heat. So that one's an easy one to explain. Heat, however, though, also has the benefit of ashing targets, or possibly the negative. I don't know if ashing people is a strict benefit unless it's your kill target or something. But this thing can be rather devastating. It doesn't have the fastest time to kill. You're not going to win a gunfight, but you can pretty much ensure that your target is going to have a really hard time surviving the gunfight. It's a very slow but insidious killer. Again, as mentioned, every species except lizard has a high heat tolerance, but moths, for example, take way more heat damage, so they're really susceptible to heat, where every other species is pretty even against it. Diana do take more heat, but it's kind of negligible from testing that I've done. And lizards, they get destroyed by cold, and they will suffer the slowdown of the cold. Well, everyone suffers a slowdown of the cold, but they'll suffer it quicker. So just quickly, I'll shoot this lizard with like 3 freezing bolts. And if we examine their health, we'll notice that their core temperature has decreased significantly down to -50 Celsius, well past their damage threshold. Even with only 3 shots, yeah, we only did 10 damage per hit, but they're taking incrementally like cold damage over time because their internal temperature is low. I'm going to shoot each one of these baseline species with 5 shots each of heat, so 5 seconds is enough to land these hits. As we can see, they are dropping in pretty uniform fashion. The moth is absolutely brutalized on temperature, 170 Celsius, and that's me checking them quite a while later. Human is dying slower, but they are indeed dying, and this heat will kill them because they can't shed off the temperature as well due to the fact that they're insulated. And the lizard, after 5 heat shots, is taking damage, but it's going to crit them, but they have more time to fix their temperature, like shed off the suit, take temperature fixing drugs. So it's going to be interesting in War Ops. You might want to consider making drugs that can stabilize your temperature. Personal AI assistants now actually have a store, and the 3 things they could purchase as of right now is a station map, a MIDI player, and a mass scanner. And yes, you can purchase all of these right now. So just more things to, I guess, set up for the future if we're going to add more PAI expansions. I can see Syndicate PAIs having their own built-in apps that can be useful for syndicates. Either way, really cool stuff. Yeah, again, I apologize if I missed any PRs that were important, or I just literally missed them. There was a lot of changes to go through. I started recording this a few days ago, and I literally used the wrong recording settings and had to throw away over like 30 minutes to an hour of footage. So I basically redid it and tried to go through it quicker because I'd be talking about the same subjects for 25 hours. It's a little tiring. Anyways, though, enough about me. Thank all of our maintainers and contributors for this massive push through of PRs. A lot of these were on backlogs for a long time, so seeing them get through is a massive way forward, and Wisden has been on an absolute roll pushing out content. And of course, thank you for watching.